Hi everyone, I'm Megan Teets, and this is the very first ever episode of Sorta Awesome. Hi guys, welcome to the show. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be introducing you to this brand new project today. Some of you are listening because you know me through my writing, or maybe we've met each other through social media through the years, but some of you have maybe just stumbled across the show, maybe because you were attracted by the shiny gold glitter, or maybe the word awesome just really speaks to you. And actually, if you're here because of the glitter and the word awesome, come sit by me because I have a feeling that we are going to be really good friends. However you found this show, welcome. I am truly so glad that you're here. To give you just a tiny bit of background on who I am, I spent the last 8 years blogging at sortacrunchy.net. I blogged there from 2006 to the end of 2014. I closed my blog at the end of 2014 because I was feeling pretty burnt out on the medium of blogging, and I was really ready to start some new projects. And this project, this podcast, is the first one that I am finally releasing into the world. So why the name Sorta Awesome? Well, first, the easier explanation is the word awesome, and sadly, that's just sort of one of my trademark words. I've been using and overusing the word awesome going all the way back to high school. I probably should have outgrown that word by now, but I haven't. And so here we are. It is a word that I use all the time to describe all kinds of things. So awesome was kind of, it was a good pick to describe what my plans are for this show. Also, because as an ENFP, those of you who are into Myers-Briggs personality types, I'm an ENFP, and as such, I really genuinely believe that everyone has an innate sense of awesomeness. I see the best in people, and I am passionate about helping people dig in and find the awesome that is already there within them. Now, what about the word sorta? Well, like I said, the name of my blog was Sorta Crunchy. That came from the fact that when I first started blogging, I was just starting to dip my toes into the world of crunchy or natural living parenting practices. And I chose sorta because I really truly believe in the freedom of doing stuff halfway. And I don't mean that in the negative sense at all. What I find in my life is that I have a tendency, if I'm not careful, to believe in doing things all or nothing, either doing something full on, 100% totally all in, or just giving up and not doing it at all. But when I embrace the freedom of sorta, then I realize that I can adopt things into my life that work for me and simply let go of the things that don't work for me. And that was where Sorta Crunchy came from. And I've really stuck with that sort of philosophy and applied it to a lot of things in my life. I know for some of you that might have a negative connotation of doing things halfway. But for me, it allows me the freedom to try new things and not worry about being perfect at it, not worrying about being dogmatic about it, just giving something a try and seeing where we go with it. So instead of being full blast all the way on one extreme or doing something not at all, where you miss out on lots of rewards if you just don't try and just give up early, then sorta it's a great word and it's a great way to approach life. I really like the fact that the word sorta, for me, it honors the fact that all of us are in a journey. All of us are sort of the sum total, I guess you could say, of our past experiences, the things that we've learned in our past, and combined with what our dreams and hopes and our potentials for the future are. From the day that we are born, from the time we take our first breath, we've left the sort of the 0% part of the spectrum behind us. We are constantly learning and growing and engaging in the world around us. But none of us, not a single one of us, have arrived to the point of being 100% perfect, all-knowing, all-knowledgeable in anything. And I really feel like the word sorta really honors that. So that is how I came up with the name Sorta Awesome for this project and for a lot of the things that I'm going to be working on in the weeks and months to come. I have a very good friend who helped talk me through this process, and I'm so thankful for her help that we could land on that. I truly believe that all of us are capable of noticing and experiencing and living all of the awesome things that are around us. And Sorta is there to remind us that it's not all awesome all the time, that's for sure, but the potential for awesome is always there. I guess you could say that that's the driving mission of this podcast, to embrace the freedom of sorta in the pursuit of awesome. So, what can you expect from this show? I'm planning for it to be a once-a-week show. For the most part, each episode after this will have a co-host. I've asked 3 friends of mine, Laura Tremaine of HollywoodHousewife.com, Kelly Gordon of LoveWellBlog.com, and Rebecca Hoffer of SimplyRebecca.com, to join me, and they're going to co-host on a rotating basis, so there'll be one co-host per show. Now that leaves about one show a month when either I'll have a guest co-host, and I may even do a few shows solo. We'll see. And at the start of each show, my co-host and I are each going to share with you all our awesome of the week. This is going to be an item that we've picked to share with you that could be anything from a book we're reading to a movie, a song that we are really digging, a blog post that really spoke to us, a TV show or a TV series, even something that happened to us in real life. Just something to share with you, something that we hope will bring you something awesome to check out or think about or relate to, just something that to bring into your life in that way. And then, and most importantly, each show will contain a question and answer segment where we take your questions and give our best shot at answering them. And I'm going to talk more about that at the end of the show. And so today's show is all about introducing this show to you all, the listeners. And each of the 3 next episodes, the 3 upcoming episodes, are going to be shows where I introduce you all to each of my co-hosts. And to do that, I'm going to ask them a series of 3 questions that will just give you an overview of who they are, what their background is, where they're coming from, and those types of things. I figured it's only fair if I'm going to put them in the hot seat and grill them a little bit about themselves and who they are, that I should do that as well. And this will give me a chance to introduce me to you if you aren't familiar with who I am or what my background is. And maybe even some of you who have been reading my blog or have read my book are familiar with me. You might even learn a few new things about me as well. So the first hot seat question is the 5-minute life story. I am a huge believer in finding out the life story of people. In fact, I have been very guilty of this practice of when I become friends with somebody and meeting with somebody for the first time, or even just kind of grilling people at dinner parties and other social functions. I love to dig deep and just find out from the beginning a little bit about each person's life story, because I think that helps us really shape our understanding of each other. So I'm going to be asking each of my co-hosts to share their 5-minute life story. So I'm going to dig in and give you a brief overview of my life story as well. I was born in June in Houston, Texas, in the middle of the heat wave, and the air conditioner in my parents' apartment had gone out. I totally and completely blame that fact for the fact that I am a complete warm weather person. I cannot bear to be in cold weather, and I think it's because I came from such a hot and humid beginning. But so I was born in 1977 in June in Houston, Texas. I'll save you the math. I am 37, almost 38, and I'm a Gemini. I am also the oldest of 4 kids. I'm the oldest of 4 kids who were born in the span of about 6 years. You can imagine that my parents stayed very busy for a very long time. I grew up all over Oklahoma in different small towns around Oklahoma. I graduated from high school in 1995, and then I went to a small state school here in Oklahoma called East Central University. I went to East Central while all of my friends went off to the University of Oklahoma or other universities. I didn't know a single friend when I left for college. In retrospect now, I have to say I highly recommend that. Starting over with a brand new, fresh, clean slate at the age of 18 can be a very beautiful thing. So I went to school and majored in English with an emphasis in secondary education. In the spring semester of my freshman year, I met a very cute and very funny football player named Kyle, and we started dating, and about 9 or 10 months later, we got engaged, and we have been together ever since. We got married the summer between our junior and senior year of college. We stayed there in that small town where our university was for a few years after, because at that point, Kyle had decided that he wanted to pursue college coaching. So even though I had graduated with my degree in education, I decided to start my master's work, and I started to do that to get a master's in education and library media science. However, I did not get to finish it because before either of us could finish our graduate work at East Central, Kyle got a job as a graduate assistant at Texas Christian University, or TCU, in Fort Worth, and we moved to Fort Worth in 2001. Kyle started coaching at TCU, and I got a job teaching high school. I taught junior and senior English at Burleson High School, best known as being the home and alma mater of Kelly Clarkson of American Idol fame. In fact, I was teaching at Burleson during that season when she won American Idol. It was all very exciting. So I taught there for 3 years, junior and senior English. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And then in the spring of 2004, Kyle got a job as an assistant coach at Texas State University in San Marcos. And so I finished out teaching that spring semester, and then I moved down to San Marcos with him, and I never went back to teaching because right before I finished the school year, we found out we were expecting our first child. And so I just never went back to the classroom after that. Daisy, our oldest, was born in January of 2005. And while we were still in San Marcos at Texas State, our second daughter, Eliza Joy, was born in September of 2007. After our second daughter came along, it became pretty clear to Kyle and I that although we loved being part of the collegiate coaching community, and Kyle was fantastic at what he did, he loved coaching, loved being around the kids, it just became very clear that coaching is, it's an exciting career and it's an exciting profession to be in, but it's pretty hard on family life. There was a lot of time spent at the office and on the field and traveling for recruiting. And so after lots of prayer and thought, Kyle left coaching and became a financial advisor. Another reason for Kyle leaving coaching was that we lived very far away from our families at that time. And you know how it is. Once children come along, sometimes there's that part of you that just wants to be back close to your own parents and your siblings and really get to enjoy your years raising kids near your folks. Not everybody does that, of course, but it was important to Kyle and I to do that. So he became a financial advisor. The firm he was working for moved us back to Oklahoma. We lived in a beautiful small town out to the west of Oklahoma City for 4 years. And that is where I did a lot of my online work. A lot of my blogging happened there, my writing for other blogs. Also, while I was there, a friend and I, my friend Laura Oyer and I, signed a contract to write a book. And we did. We wrote that book. And it was released in April of 2012. That book is called Spirit-Led Parenting: From Fear to Freedom in Baby's First Year. And basically, it's, in a nutshell, it's a baby book that says you don't need any baby books to know how to make the best decisions for your new baby, that you can trust the work of the Holy Spirit moving in your heart to know how to make the best decisions as a new parent. So, let's see. Also, so that was in April of 2012 when that book came out. In May of 2012, our family moved to Oklahoma City, where we live now. Kyle transferred to a different financial advising firm. And a month later, we found out we were pregnant again. I had just turned 35, and we thought we would just give it a try and see what would happen if we added one more kiddo to our family. To our surprise, that one more kiddo came with an identical twin brother. And in February of 2013, our third and fourth children were born. John Kyle and Mac are our twin toddlers. So that is my family, and that's where we are right now. I think that kind of catches us up on my life story. Again, I spent many years being a writer and a blogger. But towards the end of 2014, I just began to really, really have the just kind of gnawing, I don't know how to say it, idea. I just couldn't shake the idea that there was something else out there that I wanted to do other than writing. I've been writing in one way or another through creative writing, through school, through college for a long time, since I was in elementary school. And I just really was ready to take on something new, to grow, to really push myself to explore something new. And so that's why I closed my blog at the end of 2014. And it just, all of the signs were pointing towards starting a podcast, as taking that on as the next big project. And so that brings us to the second hot seat question I'll be asking my co-hosts, and that is, what current challenges are you facing in life? So to answer that myself, there is no doubt that the biggest challenge I feel like that I'm grappling with every day is how to continue to pursue creative pursuits, how to create content, how to pursue what I feel like is a driving mission for my life and a purpose for my life in the midst of everyday mothering with 4 children, 50% of whom are toddlers. I don't have very much free time at all. So that is something that I'm continually working on, refining and tweaking my daily schedule to create time, and then to protect that time as time that is for me, where I can engage these pursuits that bring fulfillment and bring direction to my life. It's something, like I said, I feel like every single day I'm like, how am I going to make this work? Just yesterday, I had so much that work that I had wanted to get done on the podcast. And of course, that would be a day when both boys skip their naps. Nap time has been, for a while now, the time that I spend working on my stuff. And so when they both skip naps, then it becomes a challenge to figure out how that's going to work, how I'm going to sort of change plans and work around it. And so that brings us to the last hot seat question that I'm going to be asking my co-hosts as I introduce them to you. And that question is, what is the thing that you are always talking about? What is the topic that you're just so interested in that you find yourself bringing it up in conversation to friends and family? In fact, friends and family might be getting a little tired of you bringing it up all the time. As I think about the answer to that question, one thing is abundantly clear. I am super, super into personality types. I alluded to this earlier. I'm very into the Myers-Briggs system. I discovered it, probably 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe it's been longer now. And I checked it out because I recognize that my husband and I have extremely different personalities, extremely different. And yet we've been married for almost 17 years. We have navigated ways to get along, to understand each other. But through Myers-Briggs, I really wanted to dig deep to understand myself better and to understand him better so that I could kind of figure out, I see things this way because my brain works this way, yet his brain works this way, and so he responds to information this way. I really love Myers-Briggs because it helps us understand on a cognitive level how we understand the information that we're taking into our brains, into all of our senses, how we respond to it, and why. And I think that's kind of a trait of ENFPs. We overall are a type who really like to get to know people. We like to make connections. We like to solve the puzzles of people and how they work, why they do what they do. So personality stuff is something that you will always find me talking about. I also try to slip it into conversation with friends. My closest friends, I've figured out their types, or I've basically twisted their arms until they've taken an internet version of the Myers-Briggs test. And once I know their type, then I can and I can and do often say, well, because you're this type, then you are seeing it this way and those types of things. So personality stuff, that's something that's going to come up quite a bit, I can almost promise you, on the Sorta Awesome podcast. So that brings us to the end of me talking about myself. Thank goodness. Let's wrap this part up. And I just want to say again, thank you so much for checking out Sorta Awesome. I'm so glad that you're here. And as I mentioned towards the beginning of the show, the heart and the soul of the show, Sorta Awesome, is going to be a Q&A segment where you all, as listeners, submit questions to us, and we basically just take a stab at giving you our best answer. We want to cover all kinds of topics, everything from parenting and marriage, all kinds of family life issues, to personality stuff, like I just mentioned, pop culture things, movie recommendations, book recommendations, gosh, you name it. We want to cover it in the Q&A segment of the show. This won't work if we don't get any questions. So what I want to do is direct you to where you can submit your questions to Sorta Awesome so that we can take a stab at answering them for you. If you will go to, I'm going to take you to Tumblr. Some of you may be pro Tumblr. Some of you maybe have never even clicked on the site, but this is going to be super easy, whether you're a pro or a novice at Tumblr. I'm going to send you to Sorta Awesome Megan. So it's Sorta, Sorta, Awesome Megan, MEGAN.tumblr.com. Once you click on that page, and it's we're bare bones operating at Sorta Awesome Megan right now. There's not a lot there, but you will see a place where you can click on the link that says Ask Us. That will take you to a question box, and you just type in your question. There's even an option for you to ask the question anonymously. You can check that box. If it's a question that's a little bit sensitive, maybe you don't want to reveal who you are in asking the question, that's totally fine. You can check that box, and that will submit the question to us, and we will take your question on in an upcoming show. Again, that's sortaawesomemegan.tumblr.com. If you are good at tumbling, or if you just like to follow blogs in general, you can follow my Tumblr there. Either follow it through your Tumblr dashboard, or if you subscribe to blogs through service like Feedly or Bloglovin, you can subscribe to Sorta Awesome Megan as well. Other places you can find me on Facebook for now at facebook.com/sortacrunchy. Hopefully in the future, we'll be switching that name over to Sorta Awesome, but for now, you can find me at Sorta Crunchy on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm Megan_Tietz. That's MEGAN_TIETZ. And if you would like to sign up to get updates on the show when each new show comes out, other things happening for Sorta Awesome, you can go to tinyletter.com/Sorta Awesome and sign up for my mailing list there. I'll include links to all of those in today's show notes. And finally, I want to say thank you so very much to the band Prager for allowing us to use their incredibly amazing song Strut as our in and out music on Sorta Awesome. I'll get you some more information about Prager also in today's show notes. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I will meet you back here next time as we explore, discover, and discuss all the things that make life sorta amazingly awesome.